The Academy's deadliest lesson, the Galactic Academy of Verix Prime, was known across the stars. It trained the best alien soldiers from many worlds. Young cadets came there full of pride, strength, and arrogance. They believed they were ready to handle anything. War, strategy, survival. They trained in deadly environments across the galaxy, but none of them had ever been to Earth. Inside a large classroom, glowing with blue light, the cadets sat around a holographic display. Instructor Valtor, a strict and cold instructor from the Zolax race, pressed a button. A spinning green and blue planet appeared in the center. "This," he said in a sharp voice, "is Earth, home of the humans." Some cadets laughed. "Primitive." "Planet," said Kellner, a strong cadet from the Krell species. "They use fire and stone. Didn't they destroy themselves once?" asked another. "With chemical weapons." "Why is it called a death?" asked one curious voice. Valtor stared at them with cold eyes. "That ... is what you will find out." The room became silent. He continued, "Your next test begins now. You will land on Earth. You will spend 7 days on its surface. No weapons. From the Academy, no help. Survive, observe, and report back. This is not a joke." But Sir Rellan, the quietest cadet, raised his hand. "There's no record of humans fighting in centuries. They've been silent." "Exactly," said Valtor to Silent. The ship carrying the cadets left Verix that same night. Spirits were high. Some played music. Others mocked Earth. Kellner even made a fake spear and joked about hunting primitive apes. They didn't know Earth had changed. The humans had changed, and they were watching. The cadet ship entered Earth's orbit 2 days later. Everything looked peaceful. Blue oceans, green forests, empty cities. No military response. "It's deserted," said Kellner, laughing. "They probably ran away." They landed near an old human city, broken buildings, overgrown plants, no signs of life. The cadets stepped out wearing light armor and scanning gear. Atmosphere stable. "Gravity normal," said Techner, the tech expert. "Too easy," muttered Kellner. They set up camp in a forest area. The trees were tall and dark. The wind was sharp and cold. But there were no creatures, no birds, no insects. Strange, the first night was quiet, too quiet. Rellan could not sleep. He sat outside, scanning the area with a thermal viewer. He stopped breathing for a second when he saw a figure standing near the edge of the trees. He shouted, "Who's there?" The others came running. But when they looked, there was nothing. "Maybe your scanner glitched," said Techner. Rellan shook his head. No, someone was there, watching. The others laughed and returned to their tents. Rellan sat alone, his hands shaking. Far above, hidden in Earth's dark sky, a satellite moved silently. It had no name, no signal. But it watched the cadets carefully. Every step, every scan, every word. And it was not the only one. Day 2 was hard at Kell. Nor slipped on some strange slime near a ruined fountain. "What is this?" Acid Techner scanned. It's organic, like saliva, that big." Kellner asked, staring at the huge, wet trail. They followed it into a collapsed building. Inside, they found claw marks, deep, clean, recent. Some kind of earth beast. Someone whispered, "No." "Known animal fits this," said Techner. That night, their camp lights flickered. A strange static filled the air. The sound grew louder. Then it became a voice. "You were not invited." The voice came from every communicator, every scanner, every helmet. "Who is this?" Kelnor shouted. No reply. Their equipment shut off for 10 full seconds. When it turned back on, the forest looked different. Trees were marked with strange symbols burned into the bark. None of the cadets had left the camp, and no one else should have been there. Back at the academy, Instructor Valt sat alone in his private quarters. A red alert flashed on his screen. "Cadet Team V97 has entered Zone Echo 1 on Earth," said the system. Valtor's eyes widened. They should not be there. He opened a locked file. Inside were old photos, burned cities, ruined alien ships, and humans with cold, empty eyes. One photo showed a single line scratched on metal. "Earth is not your hunting ground." Valtor whispered to himself. "May the stars protect them." On Earth, Relan stared into the trees. He felt it again. That same presence. He turned to the others. "We need to leave." "Are you scared of trees now?" Kelnor joked. Tekna was no longer laughing. She showed her scanner screen to everyone. "Guys, something just blocked our ship's signal from underground. The tech is ... advanced, too advanced." The wind carried a whisper again. "You chose to come. You will now learn." The cadets stood still. Relan's voice trembled. "This planet is not empty." And somewhere deep in the forest, a human opened his eyes. Asterisks, strange signals, and human shadows. The second night on Earth was colder than the first. Fog rolled in from the east, thick and grey, hiding the stars. The cadets tried to act brave, but their voices were lower now. No jokes, no laughs. Something felt wrong. Tekna stood by the comms unit, pressing buttons again and again. The screen showed no signal. "It was working yesterday," she muttered. Kelnor walked over. "Maybe human weather is messing with it." Tekna shook her head. "No, this is not weather. This is a targeted block. Someone is jamming us." "Humans?" Relan asked. Tekna looked up. Or something worse. The forest around them had grown silent. No wind, no movement, not even the usual buzz of insects. Just stillness. And then came the knock. A slow, heavy knock, 3 times on the side of their supply crate. Every cadet turned. Weapons raised. Flashlights clicked on. Nothing Kel, nor rushed over, tore open the kratomti. "Who's messing with us?" He shouted into the trees. The fog swallowed his voice. Relan turned his head suddenly. "Did you hear that?" Everyone froze. A faint sound. Footsteps, crunching leaves. Relan pointed there. They ran toward the noise, flashlights bouncing. But they found only deep footprints, human-sized but heavier. The steps stopped at a tree. No more prints beyond that. It was like whoever or whatever made them had vanished into the air. Back at the camp, the central beacon began blinking red. "Unknown transmission detected," Tekna read. "But it's not coming from Earth." The others leaned in. The signal had no source, no planet, no coordinates, just a message. It played through their headset speakers in a cold voice. "You are being watched, not by us, but by the ones who stayed behind." "What does that mean?" One cadet whispered before anyone could answer. The beacon burst into sparks. They stepped back. "Get to the ship," Kelnor ordered. They ran across the dark path, but when they reached the landing zone, the ship was not the same. It was covered in vines, black ones, thicker than before. The engines were cold. One of the landing pads had sunken into the ground. "But we landed only yesterday." Tekna gasped. Rellon, ran up the ramp and entered. Inside, all the screens were dark. The air was heavy and smelled of rust. Then they saw the message scratched into the inside wall. "You don't belong here." That night, Kellner took first watch. The fog had returned. He walked slowly around the camp, blaster in hand. At first, nothing happened. Then he heard a soft humming, like a tune, a human tune. He followed it. The song led him to a broken statue half buried in dirt. A human child carved in stone, smiling, but its eyes were missing. Clawed out, the humming stopped. Suddenly, a figure darted across the path behind him too fast to see clearly. Kellner spun around, heart racing. "Who's there?" Silence then, behind him a whisper. "You laughed at us." Kellner fired his blaster in panic. The blast hit a tree and sent ash falling like snow. The others came running. "What happened?" "I saw someone. They were standing right behind me." "No life signs," Tekna said, scanning. Kellner pointed at the stone statue. It was gone, only broken dirt remained. Inside the tent, Rellon could not sleep. He stared at the old Earth maps. Something about this planet felt alive. Not just dangerous, aware. He looked through the Academy files again. Strange Earth had once sent colony. Ships to the stars, but then stopped. Records showed silence, peace. But what if that silence was a trap? Rellon zoomed in on a highlighted zone marked E1, their exact location. Then his pad flickered. A new file appeared. One word, awakened. Before he could read further, the pad shut off. The next morning brought more fear. One of the cadets was missing. Jun, a soft-spoken one, was gone. His sleeping bag lay open. His boots were still inside, but he was nowhere. They searched the forest. Then Tekna found his helmet. It was placed neatly on a stump. Inside, the visor was a single human, tooth clean. No blood, just the tooth. That was the first time Kellner stopped speaking. They returned to the ship, desperate to restart the engines. Tenna opened the controls. "They're rewired," she said, "by something not from our tech. Human wires, old, rusty." "But why?" Rellon asked. She looked at him. "To keep us here." That night, no. One slept. Each cadet took turns watching the forest. Sometime around midnight, Rellon saw it again, the same figure from before. A man. He was tall, covered in shadows, standing between the trees. He wore no helmet, just a dark cloak and something on his back. Not a weapon, it looked like a child. Rellon stepped forward slowly. "Wait," Tekna whispered. "Look at his eyes." The man turned. His eyes glowed, not red, not blue, but a soft gold. He said one thing. "The test is over. The war has begun." And then he vanished. Not walked, not ran, just vanished. The cadets stood frozen. Earth was no longer just a mystery. It was a warning. And it had only just begun. The trap they walked into morning came slowly, but the sky over Earth remained grey. The sun tried to shine through the clouds, but failed. It felt like the planet itself did not want to be seen. The cadets were quiet. Jun's empty helmet and the human tooth haunted them. Rellon held the helmet tightly. Something took him without sound, without struggle. Or he followed it, Tekna said. Whatever that shadow was, Kellner, once proud and loud, now walked with a weapon always ready. He scanned the forest every few minutes, but the scanners still showed nothing. That was the most terrifying part. They decided to search the area again. Something had to explain what was happening. Relin led them deeper into the trees, away from camp. The forest became darker. The trees were thicker, roots twisted like ropes, and the ground felt soft, too soft. "Look at this," Tekna whispered. She pointed at a broken fence hidden behind branches. It was old, made of rusted metal. They stepped through it and saw something shocking, a human base, not just ruins, a hidden facility buried underground. The entrance was a steel door covered in moss. Symbols were carved into it, the human alphabet, mixed with strange alien runes. This was not in any report. Kellner said. Relin walked up and touched the door. It opened silently, like it had been waiting inside. The air was dry and cold. Lights flickered weakly. Dust covered the floors. But the machines inside were still alive. Screens glowed with soft blue lights. A single word blinked on each one. Recording. They stepped further in. Each wall held weapons human-made. But not for normal war. These were mixed with alien tech. Modified, brutal. Tekna walked slowly. They built this from stolen tech. Or maybe captured it. One room had bodies. Not human, not cadets, but aliens. From different species. All dead. All wearing uniforms from ancient wars. All stored like museum pieces. "These are from races that went extinct centuries ago," Relin whispered, and there. "Here," Kellner added. On Earth, suddenly, a voice echoed from the hallway. It was a recording, an old human voice, calm, steady. "They came to test us. We let them. Then we studied them. Took what worked, left what didn't. They called Earth a Deathworld. They were right." Then silence, and another whisper followed, not from the speaker. "You're standing in our trap." Lights shut off. The hallway turned black. A heavy click came from the main door. "Back out, now," Kellner shouted, but the door slammed shut. Before they reached it, red lights blinked. A timer started. 10 minutes to lock down. Tekna rushed to the control panel. "I'll try to override." A blast hit the wall beside her. Not from the cadets, from something inside the base. They turned to face it. A figure moved in the shadows. Not fully human, not machine either. Its body was covered in black armor, glowing, red lines across its chest. Its voice was cold. "You entered the test zone without permission." Kellner raised his weapon. "We are cadets of the Galactic Academy." The figure stepped closer. "We know, that is why you are still alive." Relin asked, voice shaking, "What is this place?" "A reminder," the figure said, "that Earth remembers everything, even pain." Then it vanished again. No sound, no motion, just gone. The red timer reached 0. The light shut off. Total darkness. Suddenly, a soft blue light appeared. It came from Roland's wristpad. His screen showed a new file, one he had never seen. "Hunter class response active." "What does that mean?" Tekna asked. Relin read aloud. "Hunter class units will engage any off-world presence within Zone E. If warning is ignored," Kellner cursed. "So this was all a trap." "No," Relin replied. "A test. We were allowed to come. They wanted us to." "Why?" Tekna asked. Relin looked toward the door. "To show us what real fear is." The steel door finally unlocked. They ran out. The forest felt even darker now. The wind cut through their suits. It was no longer a training mission. It was survival. They made it back to the ship, but the ship was no longer safe. One engine was missing, not destroyed. Removed, clean placed beside the ship, with wires neatly tied, as if someone was saying, "You're not going anywhere." They entered quickly, locking the ramp behind them. Inside, the lights flickered. One by one, the ship's internal screens began turning on. Each showed a different image. Earth cities burning, alien fleets falling, humans with glowing weapons, and one message blinking over them all. "Never forget why you feared us." Tekna collapsed into a chair. "They've been planning this. Not just defense. This is intelligence. Strategy. War," Rilan added. "They prepared for war without anyone noticing." Kelnar stood in the center. "We underestimated them. Everyone did." Suddenly, a sharp alarm blared. One life form approaching. They checked the cameras. A girl, human, maybe 10 years old, walking alone in the forest. No fear, no expression. "Is she real?" Tekna asked. The girl stopped just in front of the ship. She looked straight into the camera. Then she spoke. "Tell your people, leave Earth alone." She walked away and vanished into the trees. No footprints, no trace, just silence. Kellner turned off the camera. "I don't think Earth is a death world anymore," he said. Relan replied softly, "No, it's something worse." Earth's silent guardians, the ship, was no longer a safe place. Every corner now felt like a trap. Tekna sat staring at the blank screen, trying to restart the blocked transmission. The system refused every command. No signal, no escape. And no help, she whispered. Relan stood at the window, watching the trees. "They could have killed us already." "But they haven't," Kellner said, pacing. "Why?" Relan turned. "Because they're watching, studying, like we're part of some test." Kellner slammed his fist on the wall. "We're soldiers, not rats." A new voice spoke from the ship's speaker. "Exactly, and this is no ordinary lab." Everyone froze. Relan rushed to the panel. "Who is this?" No reply, just silence. Then a loud click came from below. The ship's floor shifted, and a hidden hatch opened. They climbed down slowly. The hatch led to a tunnel, old metal, rusted but still strong. The walls had carvings, old human writing mixed with unknown symbols. "This wasn't built by the military," Tekna whispered. "This is something else." The tunnel ended in a wide chamber. Inside stood 6 large glass tanks, and in each tank floated a figure, human but not normal. One had silver eyes, another had extra limbs, one looked part machine. All were sleeping. Kelnor stepped forward. "What are they?" A screen lit up behind them. "Earth's Silent Guardians Project Warden." Below that, in the event of invasion, the Guardians will awaken. "Their weapons," Tekna said. "Human weapons." "No," Relan corrected her. "They're protectors. Trained for one mission: defend Earth without mercy." Suddenly, the tanks began glowing. One of the figures stirred. Its eyes opened, silver, cold. A soldier from the past. He stepped forward inside the tank, pressing his hand to the glass. A voice echoed through the room, not from the man, but from the walls. "You came to study Earth. Earth is now studying you." They rushed back to the ship, but something had changed outside. The forest was gone. In its place stood rows of statues, human warriors, made of stone, lined up like an army frozen in time. Each one held a different alien weapon, some never seen before. "What is this?" Tekna asked. "A message," Kelnar said. "This is what happens to invaders." Then they noticed something worse. Each statue had a name, not human names, alien names, and each had a symbol beneath it, the symbol of the Galactic Academy. Suddenly, the sky roared, a sound like thunder but no clouds, no storm. They looked up, something was falling. No, not falling, landing. A massive shape, a ship. But not like theirs. It was smooth, silent, made from black material that shimmered like smoke. It hovered above the trees, then gently touched the ground. A ramp opened, and from it walked a single human. He wore a long coat, no armor, no helmet. His face was calm, older, lined with scars. He looked at the cadets. "You've seen enough," he said. "Who are you?" Kellner asked. "I'm one of the Watchers," he replied. "I don't attack, I observe." Roland stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" The man raised a hand to listen. He pointed at the statues. Every one of those came here thinking Earth was weak, peaceful, simple. They left behind these memories. "You kill them?" Kellner asked. "No," the man replied. "Earth doesn't always kill. Sometimes it just breaks the mind." Roland asked, "Why not attack us then?" The man looked straight into his eyes. "Because you're still learning. You still have time to understand." They were led into the man's ship. Inside was quiet, simple, not a warship, but a vessel built for hiding. Screens covered the walls, showing distant worlds, alien battles, galactic news. Earth remained invisible in all of them. "We've hidden ourselves for centuries," the man said, "made the galaxy forget, made them believe Earth stopped fighting." "But you didn't stop," Techna said. "No," he replied. "We just chose a different kind of war. One that watches, waits, and strikes only when needed." He showed them an old video. A planet, the same one the Krell cadets had trained on burning, and a human ship leaving quietly. "We strike once, leave no trace, and vanish." Relen whispered, "But why live this way?" The man looked sad for the first time. "Because long ago we trusted the galaxy, and it betrayed us." He pressed a button. Another video played. It showed ancient battles, human children taken, cities wiped out, aliens laughing over human prisoners. And then silence. After that, he said, "We rebuilt, but not to expand, to defend forever." The cadets were quiet now. Kellner sat down, eyes distant. "Everything we believed was a lie." Techna asked softly, "What will you do to us?" The man smiled gently. "Nothing. You'll leave. But remember this moment." Roland looked at him. "Will we ever see Earth again?" "Only if the galaxy forgets its lesson." And then the screens went black. The ship shook. When they looked outside, the forest was back. The statues were gone, and their own ship was fixed completely, not one wire out of place. Roland whispered, "Was it real?" Kellner replied, "Real or not, I will never mock Earth again." As they boarded their ship, the man's voice echoed one last time. "Earth has guardians. They don't sleep, they don't forgive, and they never stop watching." The Deathworld awakens. The cadets sat silently inside their ship. No one spoke, no one moved. The engines were active, systems green. Everything was back to normal. Normal.tekna checked the logs. All systems had been reset, as if nothing ever happened. Rellan stared at the floor, but we know it did. Kellner gripped his helmet tightly. His strong voice was quiet now. "We should leave." He reached for the launch controls, but they did not respond. "Locked again?" Techna asked, rushing forward. "No," Kellner whispered. It says, override from external source. Just then, the ship's screen blinked on. A map appeared showing Earth, but it had changed. Glowing dots now lit up across the continents. Red, yellow, white, each one pulsed with power. What is this? Relin asked. Defense systems, Techna guessed. A message appeared on the screen. Phase 2, observation complete. And below it, the Deathworld has awakened. The ship began to shake. Not from damage, but from something moving underground. A soft rumble grew louder than outside the ship. The ground cracked open. Kellner opened the hatch slowly. What they saw stunned them all. From deep beneath the earth, massive structures were rising, black towers, covered in living metal, silent, perfect. Each one hummed with energy, lighting up. The forests like daylight. They were buried, Relin said, eyes wide. For centuries, Techna scanned them. These are satellite uplinks. They're calling something. Kellner growled. Calling who? Relin answered quietly. Not. Who? What? The sky changed. Clouds twisted. The stars above vanished behind a strange, shimmering dome. An energy field had activated, trapping them inside. A low hum began to pulse in the air, like a slow heartbeat. Then came the ships, not from above, from underground, human warships. They broke through the soil like monsters from a nightmare, angular, with symbols of ancient Earth militaries long thought extinct. Some bore names etched into their hulls: Retribution, Silent Dawn, Echo of Fire. Those ships are older than our academy, Techna said, breathless. But there, awake, the ships hovered in the air, silent and still, waiting, watching. Then one moved. It turned slowly, facing their tiny training vessel. Its weapons glowed but did not fire. Instead, a hologram beamed directly into their cockpit. A human officer appeared, wearing an old uniform, eyes cold like the void. He said nothing at first. Then, cadets of the Galactic Academy, you were warned. Kellner stepped forward. We didn't come to attack. The officer ignored him. You came to judge, to test, to laugh. Relin whispered, and now Earth answers. The hologram continued. This is not a threat. This is a demonstration. Tell your leaders, Earth does not sleep. Earth does not forget. And Earth does not forgive when pushed. He pointed directly at the screen. Leave now, or become part. Of the soil, the hologram vanished. The ship's systems unlocked. Engines roared to life, but no one moved. Outside, more towers rose. Beams of light shot into the sky. Around the horizon, the silhouette of a giant walking machine appeared. A war mech, 40 stories tall, with a glowing symbol on its chest, an ancient Earth flag. Torn but proud. It took one step, and the ground trembled. K. Elnor finally spoke. We're going. He slammed the launch button. The ship lifted, shaking from the energy around them. As they climbed higher, they looked back. The entire region glowed with power. Forests had cleared themselves. Roads lit up on their own. Satellites aligned. Earth had become a weapon again, in orbit. The ship autopiloted itself away from Earth's surface, but none of them felt safe. Techna looked back one last time. How did no one know this was happening? Relin answered, because Earth wanted it that way. Kellner sat down heavily. What now? Just then, the ship received a final message transmitted on every known frequency, a human voice. Clear, calm. This was only a test. The galaxy may choose peace or war. Either way, Earth is ready. Then silence, complete silence. Back at the Galactic Academy, alarm bells rang. Instructor Valtor burst into the control room. What happened? Where is Team V-97? A technician looked up, pale-faced. They just sent this report, sir. He handed over a file. Valtor opened it and read silently. Then he froze, because at the bottom of the file, written in bold red letters, was a note. They are not cadets anymore. They are witnesses. And with that, Earth had returned to the galaxy's memory, not as a forgotten blue world, but as the Deathworld that never truly went silent. Asterisk, the last transmission. The ship drifted in silence. No one spoke. The stars outside were cold, distant, unaware of what the cadets had just witnessed. Earth was behind them, but it felt like Earth was still watching. Tekna sat in the corner of the control room, staring at her cracked wristpad. She had recorded everything, every image, every signal, every voice. But now she wondered, should she even share it? Kellner paced back and forth. We're returning to Verix Prime. But what do we tell them? The truth, Rellan replied quietly. Kellner stopped. And who's going to believe us? That Earth has a hidden fleet, that they're smarter, stronger, more prepared than any empire. They will believe us, Tekna said, because they have to. She turned the screen toward them, recording. Earth encounter transmission. 1. The final message had to be sent, not to warn just the Academy, but the galaxy. They sat together and began to speak, each of them taking turns. Rellan, we were sent to Earth for training. We thought it was a joke, a weak, dead planet. No signs of war, no fleets, no weapons. Tekna, we found forests that listened, shadows that spoke, machines that learned our thoughts, ships that had been asleep longer than our Academy existed. Kellner, we mocked Earth, and Earth responded, not with anger, but with control, with strategy, with silence. They knew we were coming. They let us walk into the storm. Rellan, they took nothing from us. They gave everything back. Fear, respect, a lesson no classroom could ever teach. Tekna tapped the console. The system began transmitting their words to every known alliance and empire in the galaxy. They had become messengers, now, carriers of truth. The ship entered the outer orbit of Verix Prime. But something was different. A fleet of warships circled the Academy. Fighters flew in tight formation. Energy shields glowed around the station. They're preparing for war, Tekna said, eyes wide, because they read our early signal. Rellan whispered. They were greeted by a dozen officers the moment they landed. Uniformed, armed, serious. Instructor. Valtor is waiting, one of them said sharply. The cadets were led through narrow, metal halls. Every step echoed like thunder. But they were not afraid anymore. They had seen worse. They had seen Earth, Val, Tor stood by the window of the high tower, looking out over the starfield. When the cadets entered, he turned slowly. You returned, yes sir, Kellner said. Changed, Valtor walked toward them. We received your first report. Some here call it lies, others call it a warning. It's both, Tekna replied. Rellan stepped forward. Earth is not dead. It is not forgotten. It is awake, and it is not alone. Val narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Rellan reached into his bag. He pulled out a small black cube, gifted by the human watcher who had spoken to them. "I don't know what this is," he said, "but it recorded everything, from inside their warships, their bases, even the moment the planet activated. Its defense grid." Valtor took the cube. "You're telling me Earth is ready for war?" "No," Relan answered. "They are ready to stop one before it begins." The recording was played in the Grand Assembly 3 days later. Dozens of species, hundreds of leaders, millions of screens. Everyone watched. They saw the human warships rise from the ground. They saw the girl with no fear speak into the camera. They saw the ancient weapons, the silence, the calculated response. They heard the last message. "We waited for peace, but we never trusted it. Now you know why." When the screen went dark, there was no applause, only fear and silence. Later, in a quiet room deep in the academy, Valtor called the cadets together one last time. "You've done something no one else has done in centuries," he said. "We didn't survive," Techna replied. "We listened." Relan stood beside her. "And Earth gave us a second chance." Kelnor nodded. "To choose respect over war." Valtor placed a medal on the table. Not the usual honor, but a simple one with a strange Earth symbol on it found deep in the transmission files. A circle, inside it, a single word: Watcher. "You're not cadets anymore," Valtor said. "You're our eyes. If Earth ever speaks again." Weeks passed, then months. The galaxy remained quiet. Empires paused their conflicts. Patrols near Earth were pulled back. Trade routes shifted. No one wanted to be seen watching Earth too closely. But Ralon, Techna, and Kelner knew something no one else did. Earth didn't want attention. Earth wanted time to build, to prepare, to remember. One night, as Relan looked at the stars through a training dome, he received a signal, private, untraceable. He opened it, a video. The same little girl from Earth stood on a mountain behind her. Ships, towers, machines, and silence. She smiled. "We're still here," she said. "Still watching." Then the screen went black, and one final message appeared. "You passed the first test. There will be more." From that day forward, the name Earth was spoken in whispers, not as a legend, but as a promise. The Deathworld had awakened, and the stars would never sleep the same again.